This guy is the antithesis of drama.
He is a
tough guy,
tough player.
What's remarkable about it is that he comes from a background that, at least when he was very young, was remarkably unstable.
He's in a very unique position.
Hey, what is going on, MBL? It is Project Fat here, coming to you with another team report. And as I'm sure most of you know, we are covering the San Francisco 49ers here. So here's a little mid-season team report, kind of look what they've done so far, look at some of the biggest issues in San Francisco, some positive things moving forward. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what's the biggest contributor to the 0-7 start here for these San Francisco 49ers? They're still winless on the year, looking to get that first W maybe in week 8. Secondly, they have a young receiving core that's showing a ton of potential. But the biggest thing right now about that is, Blaine Gabbert is now in at the quarterback position, and Jawara Woodard is out there in San Francisco. Jamal Blades, his production is down from last year. Is this a product of maybe a sophomore slump? Or maybe, our team is focusing on him on the defensive side of the ball a little bit more, so it's harder for him. He's going to have to adjust himself, maybe harder for him to get to, the ball, whatever it may be. And then lastly, week 8, the San Francisco 49ers are against the Cardinals on MBL Live. And I'm going to kind of take a look at both teams, the numbers they put up so far this year. And we're going to look and see if, the San Francisco 49ers can pull out a W, on the big stage, under the big lights, and get that first win of the year against those Cardinals. So we're going to go ahead and get that started here, guys. Let's go. Now, with that being said, let's move on to that first topic we were going to cover is, what's the biggest contributing factor to this team's, 0-7 start so far? And there's a lot of different things, They aren't doing absolutely nothing on offense. They're currently 32nd in the entire league, so last in the league in points scored per game. They're only putting up 11 points a game. Their total yards only at 240 per game, which is towards the top at 29th. Passing yards, they're at 208, but I think that number is slightly skewed as well, simply because, late in games when they're down, they're just constantly passing the football. So I think that number is slightly inflated on its own. And then the running game is only averaging 32 yards a game, which is 30th, nearly last as well in that category. So, but once again, I think that isn't necessarily to put the blame on anybody. They're just having to pass the ball a lot because they're down so much. And on defense, man, this is one of the weirdest things I've seen in a while. But they're giving up 33 points a game, over 30 points a game on the year, which is also dead last in the MBL right now. And that just makes it really, really hard. And this team has shown a ton of promise and a lot of positivity over the last couple of drafts. They've gotten some huge big name playmakers, young guys that they've added to this team. So I definitely think that they're doing it the right way. They're just not clicking in the right way right now, and that's offensively and defensively. So they got to figure something out. They got to figure it out quickly. But just the lack of leadership on offense and on defense, I think, is the biggest reason as to why this team has not been able to find a win yet. But I think they still have a lot of chances this year on their schedule. I still think they're competitive. They usually play well in those games. Second half is usually what tends to hurt them. But just too many turnovers as well. So, we'll cover that a little bit more later on. But just a lot of turnovers for this team and just a ton of points given up on defense. So the defense needs to step up first, in my personal opinion, because it doesn't matter if this offense is able to start putting up 21, 24, 28 points a game. But if these guys are still giving up over 30 every game, there's absolutely no way that this offense is going to be able to keep up with that. So they need to get that figured out on the defensive side of the ball first. And once they do so, I think they can start getting some stuff figured out. And, I think they can still get about 4 or 5 wins this year, to be completely honest. I know it's definitely a tough task, but, 4 and 5 to finish the year I don't think is unrealistic for this team, because they do have a lot of potential and a lot of positive things going on there in San Francisco as far as their young players that they have on that team. So we're going to go ahead and go on to the next part and start talking about this receiving core, as well as the big decision in San Francisco as far as the quarterback situation. And before we start talking about those wide receivers, though, I want to go ahead and touch on the breaking news out of San Francisco that they just talked about a couple weeks ago, or earlier this week, I'm sorry. But Jawara Woodard has been benched in San Francisco. And as you can tell, there's many reasons as to why they decided to do this. At this point, they really have nothing else to lose. They don't see him as the future quarterback for this franchise. So why not give somebody else an opportunity and maybe give some new life to this team? But Woodard has just over 1,500 yards passing on the year. He has 6 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. So that's 6 touchdowns to 27 interceptions, and a QBR of 47.8 on top of that. So just hasn't been making great decisions all year long. It's been kind of something that he's been dealing with for a while now, but they finally just said that enough is enough, and this is the move they decided to make, and they're going to go ahead and throw the new quarterback Blaine Gabbert in there. He got a little bit more experience than Woodard, maybe not necessarily much more experience in the sense of played many more games, but he has been around for a little while, and since this so that could be something that the San Francisco team needs. He could maybe bring some veteran leadership. Who knows? But they definitely need something to change, and Blaine Gabbert's going to be this guy. As you can tell by looking at him here, he's still pretty young, 29 years old, stands at 6'4", weighs just over 230 pounds, out of Missouri, and he's got a good live arm as well. And I think he's going to be making some better decisions out there on the field than Woodard has made so far this year. And like I said, at this point they really have nothing to lose, but I kind of like this move because it shows me that this team still has a little bit of heart going forward, and that's something that I actually asked the San Francisco owner about after their most recent loss, their week 6 loss. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what he has to say about this team and their continuous, attempt at trying to get some wins here for this team, and not just kind of laying over for the remainder of the year.
No, we can't look ahead. We're struggling too much. We've put what we believe is the best group of guys on the field. Our offensive line has had a lot of struggles. We have youngsters at both tackles as well as at center. A few of these young guys have really outperformed what we expected of them. That said, we're still not getting the job done. We can take it. We have to take it one game at a time. We cannot look past anyone. It's only, yes, we're 0-6, but it's a 16-game season. We've got time to recover from this. It's just a matter of the guys pulling together and limiting the turnovers. The turnovers have killed us from day one. We lead the league in turnovers. We are at the bottom of the league in defense, and things just have to stop. This has to change. We will continue taking it a game at a time, continue the grind, and we will do what we can. We'll do the best we can. Not sure what else I can say on this.
And as you heard there from the owner of the 49ers, they're definitely going to keep fighting and trying to get some W's for this team. And this wide receiver core is definitely going to be a big part of that. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk about them here real quick. And the first guy I want to talk about is going to be Hunter DeVries. He's got 28 receptions on the year, 500 yards, 2 touchdown receptions. And, this guy has just been really, really good so far. All 3 of them have been. Jamison Finley, 23 receptions, 514 yards, 4 touchdowns himself. And these guys are all young. They've only been in the league 3 years or less with this Niners team. And then the last guy that you want to talk about here is going to be Josh Creighton. He's a rookie this year. 11 receptions, 234 yards. Has yet to find the end zone. But these guys are really young, really good, and I think this is going to be a big thing for them moving forward, and these guys can help Blaine Gabbert transition into that starting role moving forward. So very, very positive thing for this Niners team to look at moving forward, and I think they're going to be really, really excited for the future. And, when you talk about the future, one of the guys you've got to look at is Jamal Blades, the middle linebacker. This guy last year was a rookie, and he came out balling from day one, just all over the field it seemed like. and this is somebody you really got to build around. And he's wearing that infamous number 52 that Patrick Willis used to wear when he was with this team, and that's something, that's a big shoes to fill when you wear a number like that, and I think right now he's definitely doing so. His production is down a little bit this year. So far into this point of the season, he's got 34 tackles with 1.5 sacks and an interception. Like I said, slightly down from the year before, but what I'm kind of thinking that it's coming down to is teams are able to kind of focus on this guy a little bit because there's no one, really, you have to worry about outside of Jamal Blades. And so they're able to focus on him, double team him, whatever it may be, run away from his side of the field, keep the ball away from him as much as they possibly can. And I think that's really affecting his production. So that's something he's going to have to adjust to, in his second season. I don't want to call it a sophomore slump by any means because he's still extremely productive. But there's definitely something going on, and I think that's what it has to do with. So, San Francisco might need to look at moving him around the field a little bit, different, left and right, or just finding ways to get him more involved on the defensive side, because he's definitely a playmaker. He brings the boom when he delivers a hit. So you got to find any way you can to get this guy as close to the ball as much as you possibly can. So what I'm going to do now that we've covered a lot of those young guys and the positivity coming around this team and the future that they have, let's go ahead and take a look forward to their next matchup against these Arizona Cardinals and look at some numbers that both of these teams have put up this year. And as we take a look here, you can see that the 49ers, like we talked about, 0-7, still don't have a win. Cardinals sitting at 4-2. They have already had their bye week this season. You can just kind of tell, how much the Niners are underperforming right now. And the biggest area that you can really look at right here, if you look down to the turnovers, the 49ers have 29 turnovers altogether, 27 interceptions, as well as they lost 2 fumbles on the year. But the Cardinals have only turned the ball over 6 times total in their 6 games so far that they played. That's 1 a game compared to the 3 a game 4 a game almost that the Niners are giving away themselves. Outside of that, the passing yards are pretty even. The passing yards, Niners have a little bit more on the year. But once again, I just think that number is slightly skewed because they're playing catch-up at the end of games and they're just throwing the ball a lot. And then the passing completion percentage is another thing. 70% there for the Cardinals. Young QB compared to Woodard up to this point only throwing 49% completion. Once again, that's just the defense is being able to kind of sit back expecting the pass, which is a big part of it. They haven't had too much opportunity to run the ball because they have been down so much and so big in these games, which definitely hurts as well. So they just need their defense to step up first overall, I think, to be able to compete with these teams, because they're just going to keep giving up these points. They're not going to be able to have a balanced attack to be able to, pull out a victory in this game. Now, for my prediction, I don't think the Niners are going to be able to get their first win yet this season. I think they're going to have to wait a couple more weeks for that. But I do see them being a lot more competitive. I think Gabbert's going to be a better option for these guys. I think that he can definitely be a better game manager, but once again, this Cardinals defense is just too good, and they're even playing without Patrick Peterson right now, which is a big deal. But this defense is playing well. Their offense is playing smart. They're not giving the ball away, and they're just really playing well. And I think this is the team that's gonna win tomorrow night in this game, which is going to be the Cardinals, and keeping the Niners winless at 0-8 on the year. So, outside of that, I think that's going to be it for today's show, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with me. Big shout out to October. Kind of been helping out with this, doing some production stuff for me. So I truly appreciate your help, October. And once again, guys, stay tuned. I'll have another episode out at the end of the season to do a recap of the Niners season, and then I'll have some more information after that as far as how you can possibly be on the next season of Team Reports. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and Project Fats out.